Today I want to talk with you about our brains, and I have two parts to this video. So the first one, I'm going to talk about the brain, and then the next video I'm going to talk about how we can work with our brain so that we can work through our issues and our problems that we face every day. It's very important for us to know about our brain. And when we understand our brain a little bit, we can do something different with it. It brings awareness to our lives. And so I have three really simple animals that I want you to remember to look at when you're thinking about your brain. We have three regions to our brain. We have the cortex, the subcortical region, and the brainstem cerebellum. And so think of the brain, the cortex is this front part of our brain. It's the biggest part of our brain. And we link it with kind of like a primate or human evolution, meaning think about a monkey. Their responsibility in life is to create higher mental functions. So that means we want to regulate our attention, work with our feelings and acknowledge them, acknowledge what our desires are, our thoughts, our reasoning, problem solving, imagination, using language to communicate, and empathy, being able to be there with someone who is in pain and just be with them rather than trying to fix them, of course. The monkey part of our brain is their basic need is to connect and attach, feel attached to others. Is being able to connect with others, have coffee, have some fun, play some games, do some team sports. Those types of things are all for connection. That's what our cortex is all about. When we are thinking about our cortex, it's all about that higher mental function, being able to connect with things and others and ourselves as well. Think of it that way, that the cortex is about that monkey brain. The next one we have is the subcortical region, that mammalian brain. We're going to refer to that as a mouse. That what the mouse is responsible for are feelings and memory formation. My friend and I, when we were in the 80s, she had this certain hairspray. So every once in a while, I can smell that flavor of hairspray, and it might not be hairspray, but it's that flavor, that aroma. And it takes me right back to that time where we were in the basement in her bedroom doing our hair and makeup. And so what a beautiful memory. That has to do with our mammalian brain. The core functions of our mammalian brain are emotions, utilizing memory and learning. So when we learn, I still know my phone number when I was little, 3722905, and my address was 2186 Fleming Place. So that is memory formation. That is something that will stay with us forever. And what that does is it gives us reward and motivation. It motivates us to move forward. Just think about a mouse who goes through that maze. The only thing that it is in the maze for is to get cheese at the end. So he's very motivated to go through the maze, all those corridors, to try to find his satisfaction, which is cheese. And so that's how it learns how to go through those corridors. When we solve problems and we find satisfaction. So the basic need of the mouse is to find satisfaction and approaching a reward. So that's the whole purpose of him going through the maze. And when this need is met, we feel content. We feel satisfied that we were able to do the job and do a good job. Like when I mow the lawn, I feel so content because there's a reward at the end of it. It smells amazing. All the lines are perfect. It looks great. So I love that. I want to be able to work for reward. And that's what motivates us. That's what gets us going. So if you think about it, when we try so hard at certain tasks or certain goals that we've worked toward, only to see it not come to fruition, it's so frustrating and it's so sad and disheartening. We're definitely not content when things don't go our way, when we can't find that cheese at the end of it. And so we feel frustrated. So being aware of that, acknowledging that, I'm working toward a specific goal. Is it attainable, reachable, measurable? Be aware of that, because if we can't achieve a task, then we'll feel frustrated. And that's what kind of discourages us and leaves us lacking motivation. The subcortical region of our brain is about the mouse, and it just wants satisfaction and contentment. And now the one I want to talk about, my favorite one, is about the lizard brain. It is the oldest part of our brain. It's the brain stem with the cerebellum here. And it's the most ancient part of our brain. It has to do with similarities with the lizard. And what this lizard is responsible for entirely in all its life, the only thing a lizard cares about is safety and maintenance. So being aware that if you've ever watched a lizard, they're very like, always looking around. They're not like on their backs basking on a rock. They never are. They're always on the defense, ready to run, ready to fight, ready to hide, and sometimes even just freeze. And so even that beautiful chameleon, they will change colors so that they can freeze, then maybe no one will see them. And then they can survive and maintain their breathing and their heartbeat at that moment. Also, when they're in the fight or flight mode, they are ready to run and hide. They want to avoid harm and they want to find safety. So it's really hard for this lizard to ever feel relaxed. But when it does, it's helping maintain other vital organs inside our body. So when we are in fight or flight, a lot of our body shuts down so that the lizard can maintain all of those organs. We don't want the organs to shut down, like our heart or our lungs. So it's working very hard to keep that going. And especially when we're afraid or we're in conflict with someone or something, we know we're heightened. Our senses are hugely heightened. We are freaking out. We're running on adrenaline, and we're in that hyperarousal state, that anxiety, that stress, that chaos. It's also that freeze frame of the hypoarousal, like that depressive kind of symptoms. So the basic need of a lizard is to find safety and avoid harm. And isn't that the way we try to live life all our lives anyway, is trying to find safety? And it's really difficult for us to find safety when we're living in anxiety or depressive symptoms all our lives, like way out of the spectrum, and we're way high on anxiety and stress. So when the need is met, this lizard feels at peace. Think about it when you're driving a car and a car is coming around the corner quickly. It's amazing. You are not the one that turns the wheel. Your lizard wakes up and goes, let's get out of here. And so he is so ready to save you. And we want to be very grateful for this lizard, because he's the one that gets us going in the direction that we need to go. And it's wonderful that he can become alive at those certain times. But the problem is that besides, someone who might be mean to us, or being in a dark alley, or swerving out of a car, there's not a lot for us to be in that flight or fight mode for. Like if we have a confrontation at work, or if we're having an issue or a problem with life, or we're not getting our goals met, or we aren't, able to pay rent. Like those are the things that are not, they're not detrimental, but they get us in the stress mode. So that lizard is awake all the time and in the driver's seat, and he's always trying to find a way for you to be safe. So it's really difficult for you to manage when he's driving all the time, and that's what makes us anxious. And so what we want to do with that is be able to notice what it is that is in our body, and acknowledge and become aware of, okay, my heart is beating really fast right now. I've got butterflies in my stomach. My chest is tight. My shoulders are clenched. I have sweaty palms. We want to be able to notice these things. And when we do, we can do something about them. In the next video, I want to talk about how we can come down from that high of freaking out of that flight or fight mode, or the freeze mode. And when the need is met for our lizard brain, we feel peace. And when our need is not met, it experiences fear. And there's an acronym for fear. It's forget everything and run. And of course, that's what the lizard is here for. He wants to just forget it all and let's just go. So he's always on the defensive, ready to fight or flee. But we also want to find the other acronym for fear, which is face everything and rise. And it's really difficult for us to do that when the lizard is in the driver's seat. So we want to start acknowledging that beautiful little lizard that saves us. But we also want to know that, hey, I'm adult enough. I can manage this. I've got this. Like when I have prepared my butt off for a speech, and I can feel confident, even though I'm scared to go in front of 1,000 people, I'm able to do it. Do I have fear? Yes, but I'm going to face it. So being able to acknowledge that is very helpful. And my acronym CALM has to do with being curious, bringing awareness to the surface, and living mindfully within those fears that we experience on a daily basis. I want you to take those 3 things with you today. Start experimenting what it means to have a monkey, a mouse, and a lizard living inside your brain. And of course, the monkey's all about connection and attachment to others, and the mouse is about satisfaction and contentment. And that lizard brain just wants you to be safe, and he's helping you survive. And when need is met with our lizard brain, we feel peace and we feel calm. So take that with you today. My name is Jackie Frash. I'm a registered professional counselor, and my goal is to bring calm into our lives. And to do that, we need to be curious, bring awareness to the surface, and live mindfully within that. So we'll talk to you in the next video that has to do with how we can regulate when we're feeling frustrated or fear or heartache. We'll learn about that in the next one. Talk to you soon.